Bootleg Pokemon toys are taking the world by storm. They're coming to us through eBay purchases in countries like China, Mexico, and Taiwan, and we are very disappointed in them. What we thought was going to be a Jigglypuff plushie turned out to be more like the Blob from that classic sci-fi movie. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to TheGamer and ring that bell to become a part of our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here are some bootleg Pokemon toys that are absolute nightmare fuel. Azulmarill. We can't help but love the Azulmarill Pokemon, whose name derives from the color azul and a rill, or a small river. We just have to look at this bootleg copy of Azulmarill to know he's basically harmless. I mean, how can you not love that weird, squishy, human face? Plus, since he has highly developed hearing and can hear underwater, it only makes sense to give him those strange, floppy, uneven ears. Don't let his bootleg creepy appearance freak you out too much. This is an extremely sweet Pokemon who enjoys helping his fellow friends. If he sees another Pokemon drowning, he can make a balloon out of air to help them breathe. This Pokemon is really a guy after our own hearts, even with the giant nose and bizarrely uneven extremities of the bootleg copy. But seriously, what's cuter than a Smurf-colored mouse who lives in the water and likes to blow bubbles to save his friends? Charizard. Charizard is a legend in terms of Pokemon. We're pretty sure if someone knew nothing about Pokemon, they could at least tell you about Charizard. He even earned the role of game mascot in Pokemon Red and Fire Red, so that goes without saying he may even be better than Pikachu. Sorry, not sorry, Pikachu fans. Charizard takes to the sky to find worthy opponents, and as he gets more experience, his fire burns hotter. It gives him the ability to burn through boulders and glaciers, but keep him away from forests, because as Smokey the Bear would say, only you can prevent forest fires. And Charizard has been known to start a few himself. Want to know how you can tell if you're looking at a replica bootleg of your favorite Pokemon? Well, it's an easy one, because you'll either get an orange version of Chomper from The Land Before Time, or a toned-down masculine version of the dragon from Shrek, or a hideously deformed-looking sandworm from Beetlejuice who's supposed to slightly resemble Charizard. There's some really slim picking in this bootleg collection, it seems. Pikachu. Pikachu is quite possibly the most famous of all the Pokemon, and is even the mascot of the entire franchise. We can't forget that Pikachu also plays a role as one of Nintendo's mascots, and was the only starter Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow. Don't let the small size fool you, because this Pokemon can do some major damage, even if it's only the size of a small rodent. Pikachu can check his surroundings by raising his tail, and if a group of Pikachu decide to build, they can accidentally create some massive lightning storms. And if you aren't sure whether a Pikachu is close by, check for nearby burn patches in the grass. It's a sure sign one was nearby. Female Pikachus have V-shaped notches at the end of their tail, which somewhat resemble a heart shape. All Pikachu are yellow with brown stripes on their back, and they have small pouches in their cheeks where they store electricity. A bootleg version of Pikachu looks like a floating yellow head with arms and legs and black-tipped Snoopy ears. If you want to give your children a real scare, have them take a ride on this Pikachu child's toy found in South Korea. We kind of think it looks like Slimer from Ghostbusters, given a nice yellow coat of paint and some ears. What do you guys think? Rosa Raid. We can't even imagine what it would be like to get a gift of a bootleg Rosa Raid toy. It's the gift that really keeps on giving. How do you thank someone for this really creepy looking gift? It's not like you can return it to the place it came from, so you'll have to just keep it on your shelf with those creepy, badly painted red eyes staring you down. For those of you who don't know Rosa Raid, it's a Pokemon who can lure prey in with an intoxicatingly sweet aroma. The more toxic its poison, the sweeter the scent these Pokemon can give off. Each of their hands have different toxins and can jab their enemies with powerful punches. Don't let the badly disfigured bootleg throw you off though, because this is one of the most elegant and graceful Pokemon in the universe. Eevee. This bootleg copy of Eevee may look somewhat friendly, although we think it looks like a mix of a prehistoric cave dog and the first idea for an evil gremlin. And you know what they say about gremlins? Don't feed them after midnight unless you want a spike on your hands. Eevee has primarily brown fur with a cream-colored collar, and the tip of its tail is the same color. These Pokemon have large brown eyes, long pointed ears, and a tiny black nose, and can rarely be found in the wild. They mostly live in cities and towns because they do best in this environment. Oh, and if you don't think that Eevee looks great as a bootleg, try not to offend him, because you don't want an Eevee to pull out their exclusive Z-move Extreme Evo Boost on you anytime soon. Jigglypuff. Oh, Jigglypuff, where are you when we need you? Okay, we're not gonna lie, we could really use a lullaby song to make us go to sleep and forget we ever knew of the existence of these creepy bootleg Jigglypuff toys. These bootleg copies look like they're staring straight into our souls. They have the intentions of snatching our bodies, and while they're at it, they'll forever sing the awful Jigglypuff song we've come to hate. These ripoffs of the cutest Pokemon on the list look a bit like a shiny pink alien, and also a real contender for the next Pepto-Bismol advertisement. The real Jigglypuff is basically in the shape of a round ball with pink skin and pointed ears. They have large blue eyes, and on top of their head is a curled tuft of fur. These Pokemon are also masters of seduction, and their eyes mesmerize opponents. After their opponents have been stunned, they fill their lungs up to sing the famed lullaby song. And it's lights out to anyone who stands in the way of Jigglypuff. These Pokemon can be found in lush green plains and grassy meadows, but given the appearance of the bootleg copies, we wouldn't rule out that they may even be found on distant planets as well. Chansey. Chansey actually translates to lucky in Japan, but we're really the lucky ones. If the design for Chansey was actually meant to look like some of the bootleg copies out there, we would have needed childhood psychologists. We're still traumatized just looking at the photos of these toys. Who decided to give her purple makeup and a red mouth? It looks like she has a bunch of legs sticking out of her head. Chansey is just a truly terrifying Pokemon. The real Chansey isn't quite as scary though. It's a pink, oval-shaped Pokemon with 3 hair strands on each side. In the center of its belly is a pouch where there's a white egg. This is a female-only species and can lay eggs every day. They are a sweet-natured Pokemon who share their eggs with injured Pokemon and people. As the Pokemon gains love and care from their trainers, the eggs they create become more tasty. These Pokemon are common in urban settings and rarely encountered in the wild. Chansey may bring good fortune to those who catch it, but we wouldn't recommend catching a bootleg copy of the toy Pokemon anytime soon. Misty. This is one of the best-known female anime characters on the planet. We're wondering what on earth happened to these poor, unfortunate ripoffs of the toy then? Who were they looking at to get a bit of inspiration? One of the bootleg Misty toys looks like she got into a tainted bag of Cheetos and she'll never be the same. The real Misty is usually sporting her signature red hair in a ponytail tied up with a purple tie. She wears jean shorts, a yellow crop top, and red suspenders. Her personality can be sweet at times, but for the most part, she becomes easily upset. She can be loud and boisterous when this tends to happen. By the end of the original series, she did seem to mellow out from her vicious cycle of mood swings. She aspires to be a water Pokemon master, and you can often find her fishing. She sometimes even uses a special lure designed to resemble herself. She sent one to Ash as a gift in the episode The Unbeatable Lightness of Seeing. Anyone who has seen Misty knows she despises bug Pokemon. She would much rather train Pokemon she thinks are cute over the ugly ones. We're still wondering how the real Misty would feel about seeing these bootleg copies of herself. We're pretty sure she would freak out and give us one of her best tantrum performances to date. Pokemon Game Bootleg. There's nothing more satisfying than realizing that there's a bunch of pirated versions of games out there. In the 90s, it wasn't as easy as it is now to get your hands on a copy. Instead, you had to buy one of these cartridges that looked like a third grader drew the art. Pokemon was so popular in the 90s and early 2000s that there were pirated video games of it. Some games were even hacked to replace the original games with Pokemon characters. Possibly one of the best hacked versions was of Tom and Jerry on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The game was called Golden, and it replaced Jerry's graphics with Eevee. There was also 2 versions of the Pokemon Yellow hack. One version was for the Tiny Toon Adventures game. In the game, Buster Bunny's graphic was replaced by Pikachu. The second version of the hack was for Felix the Cat. Felix was replaced by a mustard-colored Pikachu. If we could have got our hands on any of these versions, we would have loved to play them. What about you guys? Ash. We decided to check out Pokemon Mega, and to our surprise, we basically got sucked into the game. It turns out Pokemon Mega is a bootleg version of Pokemon, but it's a really fun one at that. We're really doing our best at trying to unsee the vampire version of Ash in this advertisement. In the background, you'll probably notice there's a few boo ghosts lurking about as well. If you're gonna commit to copyright infringement, why not make a party of it? This Ash bootleg isn't quite as bad as some of the other ones we've seen. Take, for example, the Mickey Mouse Ash with the Tweety Bird Pikachu. We don't know what happened here, but it's something we can't ever unsee again, and that's really not a good thing. If anyone can be the greatest Pokemon master of them all, it has to be Ash Ketchum. For anyone who doesn't know his backstory, we'll try to sum it up quickly. Ash was on a field trip with his classmates in the forest when he got lost. He was so frightened he began to cry. Hiding in a hollow tree, the local Pokemon found him, cheered him up, and the rest is history, as they say. If it wasn't for that day, though, we would never have heard the catchy theme song which seems to get stuck in our heads even as adults. Squirtle. You know how Squirtle's shell is used for protection? We kinda wish we could have used it to protect our eyes from these hideous reproductions. We get it, they really tried their best to make a spot-on Squirtle. But maybe the companies who made these should look into a different career path. Unless they're okay with scaring children with these bizarre-looking turtle Pokemon ripoffs. The real Squirtle is a small Pokemon who looks like a light blue turtle. He has large eyes and a hooked lip. Each of his hands has 3 digits. His body has a tough shell which hardens and forms to the Pokemon after they're born. The shell should be brown on top and pale yellow on the bottom. In Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Squirtle can get around by running on all 4s. Squirtle's shell is his most important tool. He can use it to protect himself or to sleep in. They also have excellent aim and can spray water from their mouth at any enemies. Squirtles are typically found on secluded islands with other members of its species and evolutionary line. We're not sure if the bootleg copies would be accepted, but we do know that the Squirtle pillow does look comfortable enough to take a nap with. Meowth. And who could forget Meowth? Prepare for trouble and make it double. Team Rocket just wouldn't be the same without this Pokemon. You'd actually be surprised at the amount of merchandise around for Team Rocket. And some of this merchandise isn't exactly the best quality stuff. Honestly, Team Rocket probably has some of the wackiest bootleg copies of any characters in the Pokemon universe. You could probably pick out the fakes from the real stuff right away, but just in case you can't, we'll give you a quick description of Meowth. This small feline Pokemon really enjoys round, shiny objects. They're cream-colored but have brown tips on their paws and tails. They also have 4 whiskers, 2 pointy teeth, and a gold oval coin embedded into their forehead. This is a nocturnal cat who can often be found picking up sparkly objects at night. When it does this, the coin on its forehead will shine brightly and its eyes will glitter. It probably wouldn't have this effect if it found one of its own reproductions, though. And can we blame it? Well, we've seen some pretty horrendous Pokemon knockoffs. Would you be willing to spend your hard-earned cash on these Pokemon? What else would you like us to check out in the bootleg world? Let us know in the comment section below. If you want to catch all the good content we have, then you gotta subscribe to The Gamer. Thanks for watching.